Hey everyone, Richard Metal Fan here, bringing you guys a new 2017 album review. And today we're going to be looking into the new album from the band Accept, entitled The Rise of Chaos, which came out today through Nuclear Blast Records. Now, Accept doesn't really need an introduction. They're a old school, just straight up heavy metal band hailing all the way from Germany that's been around since, I guess, the early 70s or so, putting out like classic albums such as like Balls to the Wall, Metal Heart, Restless and Wild, a lot of old school stuff. And overall, this new album, The Rise of Chaos, is the band's 15th full-length album. And these guys have gone through so many different lineup changes. The only two original members that are still in the band, of course, guitarist Wolf Hoffmann and bassist Peter Baltz, who have basically been the band beginning. And they had like a couple different members. They had different guitar players, just different drummers, and they had like a different vocalist. Their one known vocalist throughout their career was Udo Dirkschneider, which I thought was pretty good. He did like some great albums, sung on some good albums like Balls to the Wall and Metal Heart. Like they had like kind of like broken up, went on hiatus a couple times. But I think the last time when they really got back together, I think was around 2009 or so. They got a different vocalist, Mark Chanillo, who's from the States. I think he's from New Jersey. And when I first heard him, and of course the year after that, they put out, what was that called? Oh, Blood the Nations. I thought it was a good album. And honestly, these days I think Mark Chanillo is better than Udo when I compared it to. I just think he's more superior. That's just my opinion. And honestly, and I don't really say this much about other bands, but I think Accept is one of those few bands that where I will say that their newer material is better than their old material. And coming from a band that's been around for nearly 40 years, like, and especially making some albums, their last few albums have been so damn heavy. And this new album, Rise of Chaos, is the follow-up to 2014's Blind Rage, which I thought was a pretty good album, one of my favorite albums of 2014. But does this album top Blind Rage? In my honest opinion, I think it definitely has. Like, the production's pretty good, produced by well-known metal producer Andy Sneap. He does a really great job handling the production on this album. The vocal work on this album is really good. I mean, Mark Chanillo's vocals just sound like gritty as ever, just gritty and just has very crisp. I just love his vocals on this. I think he's one of the better like metal vocalists I heard. And I honestly think he's kind of overlooked. A lot of people need to look into him more. Guitar-wise, I mean, Wolf Hoffmann and Uli Lewis, I can't really say his name. Their other guitar player, which is actually the first time he's on this album. Just the riffs on this album are just really good. It's like riff central on there. Just the kind of riffs that those two come up with are really great. And especially like Wolf's guitar solos are just ripping. The bass playing is pretty audible. I think it can definitely hear it more, especially on like the last couple of albums. The bass is pretty audible. And the drumming. What can I say? With their first album with the new drummer, Christopher Williams, and honestly, he had a lot of shoes to fill from their, I can't remember their last drummer they had, but he does a really great job on this album. Just the kind of like drum fills and stuff. It's just really great. But without further ado, let's dive into this album track by track. Now the album opens up with Die by the Sword, it starts off very trademark, except very big drums, loud guitars, and just some very gritty vocals from Mark. It kind of also has kind of like the anthemic quality to it, and just some really chanty chorus. And I really love the good guitar solo in there. There is really good. Hole in the Head kind of has a little bit of a groovy boast to it, and just a good banging track. Just a really great song. I think it would go good live. And then we go into The Rise of Chaos, the title track of the album. Very high energy song with some really great tempo to it. Just some soaring riffs and some thunderous bass lines. It pretty much showcases like the bass playing from Peter on this album, and some much heavy drums on this album. And then we get to Kool-Aid. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking like, is that really a song? Oh yeah, it is. Like now, obviously, I think you shouldn't let the song title like get to you. The actual song is really great. Has a really great intro riff, and instrumentally, it comes off together perfectly and organically. And one of the most memorable songs on the album. I just think it's kind of like a funny song name, Kool-Aid. And yeah. But anyway, moving on to next on the album is called No Regrets, which has a good balance of heavy the riffs broken up with sort of like some more kind of like slower bits, especially like near the pre-chorus, like a slower kind of tempo to it. And I really love the screech that Mark does like near the very end of the song. It's really good. Um, Analog Man. To me, I think is one of the stranger songs on this album, which kind of has sort of like a technical like phrases with a metal song is kind of feels a little bit odd and kind of a little bit out of place to me on this album. But musically, on the song is really good. I just think like the lyrically kind of like talking about like technology and stuff like it just feels like it's kind of like out of place on this album lyrically, but musically it's good. I kind of like the song still. It's nonetheless a kick-ass song. What's Done is Done, and just like manic kind of like tempo, but with some really great vocals on this song in particular. It's Worlds Colliding. The riffs on this song, oh my god, it gives me like goosebumps every time I hear that song. It's pretty good. Carry the Weight. Also, the lyrics are just really just raging, and I feel like near the chorus, kind of a little bit, kind of goes a little bit softer. I mean, which is pretty, and another interesting thing I should add to this album. And then, of course, the album closes with Rage to Extinction, which I think is a great way to end this album. Just, just a very dramatic kind of song and very energetic too. I think it's a pretty good way to end this album. Now, overall, The Rise of Chaos by Accept is a really good album. I mean, they just gotten better and better ever since Blood of the Nations. I'm just really impressed. If I were to give this album a score, I'd probably give this probably a good 8.5 out of 10. I really dig this album a lot. But yeah, that's my review of The Rise of Chaos, guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of the album, and I'll see you all in the next video, and keep it metal.